Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself. Oh, and if you don't mind, like, subscribe, comment. And I've got a link tree down below. It's got my social media. And it has my Patreon if you want to help out. Thank y'all. American unions have a long history of being corrupt. With many people who know history are well aware of the mafia tendrils in them. Now the Democrat Party has their tendrils in them. With this election, some unions started realizing their workers want a better nation, which meant Trump. Trump has decided to work with the unions, which he has a long record of being able to do, by appointing Lori Chavez-DeRemer, a pro-union Republican, as his choice for Secretary of Labor. So, with the public employee unions not wanting any cuts and the incoming administration wanting heavy cuts, this will be a battle. The thing is, the private unions have needed the power of the public unions that was handed to the public ones thanks to the Democrat Party. If you want to understand this, pick up the book Spoiled Rotten by Jay Cost as he explains it all. There comes a point that this is all needing cleaned up because we can't continue this with the labor. Workers need better representation. So let's get into it.
Well, you've also in the book talked about how the unions is an example of how the government is becoming a mafia democracy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, were you yourself involved in the unions during your heyday?
Yes.
Explain how you were involved.
Well, I had control of a local that had bartenders and waitresses. I also had the security guards union. Security guard union that we had, I don't know if you know this, but we had people stationed at some nuclear power plants, 9 of them altogether. And the law at that time, I don't know if it's changed, is that when a nuclear power plant closes down, you have to have security around it for 100 years. 100 years, even though it's closed down. And so the mob was protecting the nuclear power plants that we had because we control the unions. You know, waitresses and bartenders, I had control of those unions because you know, we installed the delegates in there. We installed the president of the union. And basically we used it as a tool. You know, you go into a restaurant, hey, you want the union? No? Okay, we're going to pick it, and so on and so forth. Otherwise, you can pay us 25 grand every Christmas. We'll leave you alone. And so we use the unions in that way. And then, you know, even if we didn't control the union, our other, you know, associates did, and we made deals with them construction-wise and every other way so that, you know, we can use the unions again to make money off of contractors like Trump and all the big ones, Helmsley. So people say all the time, you know, was Trump involved with the mob? Every major contractor was involved with the mob. They had to be. Every developer, you know, every real estate guy, but not to the point where he sat down with us and, you know, we controlled him in any way.
Okay, so how do you compare that to what the government's doing with the unions?
Well, again, it's money. You know, when they cater to the unions have a huge voting block for them. And they also have huge pension funds that they contribute at the time of campaigning. You know, and they basically buy votes by giving the unions favors. That's what they do. Because, you know, again, there's power in numbers. And these unions have big membership. And they also have big money. And they support that candidate. And in return, the candidate has to do their bidding.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of unions at all. I kind of feel like it artificially creates, you know, an environment that doesn't really promote good business. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, you look at like the teachers union, and it's almost impossible to get fired as a teacher if you're in the union. So what do? They just move them into the lower income neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. So then you have these lower income neighborhoods that are already struggling with the worst teachers in the area that are creating even worse students, you know, creating high dropout rates. So it's almost like sometimes you could almost say that the schools are creating the bad neighborhoods. You see what I'm saying? As opposed to like, this is just a shitty teacher. Get rid of him or her.
Exactly.
And that's that.
But it's not easy. They can't get rid of him so
exactly.
easily. And let me ask you another question. Why do government workers need a union? who are they protecting themselves against? The government? I mean, it's the biggest scam in the world. I mean,
You're right.
the government is not supposed to be taking advantage of people that work for them, but they have a union to protect them against their employers, and their employers happen to be the government.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as someone who has close to 20 employees now, I fully support worker rights. I feel that there are certain laws that you have to follow, which we do, and so forth. But to bring in another entity on top of that, I feel is just ridiculous.
I agree.
Yep.
Michael Francis shows that there is a strong connection between La Cosa Nostra and unions. Researching Sammy Gravano testimony, there is quite a bit there on the same topic. So here, via New York University, is some of the story that Gravano shared over his time. There's more, but this one in particular should tell you a little bit more about unions and the mafia. In the mid-70s, a small group of Teamsters organized a reform group in Local 282 of the IBT, that's Teamsters. Local 282 represents approximately 4,500 construction truck drivers. The Teamsters of Local 282 deliver concrete and building material to construction sites in New York City and Long Island. The essential nature of Local 282 services at construction sites places a union in a strategic position. Indeed, its history of control by organized crime has earned Local 282 the appellation of candy store for the mob. Though the small group of reformers never won a majority of votes in the local, they engaged in a protracted and well-publicized campaign to clean up the corrupt practices of its local officers. The pressure and visibility created by their efforts have resulted in a series of convictions, resignations, and trusteeships. Despite these changes, the local remains vulnerable to the tentacles of organized crime. Beginning in 1975, 4 members, FORE members, put together their first slate to challenge incumbents in the local election. They published a newspaper and used its pages to chronicle the mishandling of union finances and pensions and welfare fund irregularities. Their vocal and well-publicized opposition, their legal challenges, and their refusal to be denied contractual rights on the job earned 4 activists the enmity of their officials. They were blacklisted and repeatedly had to seek redress through the mechanisms of the National Labor Relations Board and the courts. Denied employment, denounced and threatened, the members of 4 continued to expose the corrupt inner workings of the local. The rackets that they exposed in their rank and file newspaper turned up as major news stories, chronicling indictments, convictions, and mob control of the concrete industry. John Cody, local president from 1976 to 1984, was convicted for his illegal $2 million loan of pension funds to Chicago mobsters. Cody's actions carried out in his capacity as administration of Local 282's pension fund were first challenged and exposed by members of 4. Government investigations into racketeering and corruption in the construction industry identified the pivotal role of Local 282's leadership through the connections to Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families. When Sammy the Bull Gravano turned state's evidence in 1992, he detailed for government investigators the linchpin role of Local 282's leadership. Gravano's revelations led to the ouster of Cody's successor, Robert Sasso. Members of 4 also participated in the activities of national reform movements to clean up the Teamsters. They were active in both PROD, Professional Drivers Council, and TDU, Teamsters for a Democratic Union. Ted Kitsaros, one of the founding members of 4, attracted widespread publicity for his role as a rank-and-file leader and opponent of the gangsters rule that dominated Local 282. There is more, but this is how bad it was. The unions may not be puppets of the mafia anymore, but they are still showing signs of being crooked. Now, I'm going to read you off some Department of Labor Office of Labor Management standards of arrest, and these arrests are only from November and October of 2024. Keep that in mind as I go through this and keep reading. That's the point. I'm going to be keeping on reading for a while. On November 13th, 2024, the United States District Court of Northern District of Alabama, Tanakis Bryant, former president of American Federation of Government employees, AFGE Local 131, located in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, was sentenced to 30 months of incarceration following 3 years of supervised release and was ordered to pay restitution to the amount of $1,960 and a special assessment of $500. On April 19, 2024, Bryant pleaded guilty to a 5-count information that included 1 count of embezzlement, 2 counts of making false statements, and 2 counts of aggravated identity theft in violation of certain laws, respectively. The sentencing follows the investigation by OLMS Atlanta Nashville District Office. November 13, 2024, in Common Pleas Court of Washington County, Ohio. Mike Murray, former president of United Food and Commercial Workers, UFCW, Local 343-C, located in Marietta, Ohio, was charged with 2 counts of theft valued at $5,000 or more in violation of Ohio Revised Code sections. Yeah, bunch of law numbers. The indictment follows an investigation. Okay, October 30th, 2024, in the United States District Court of District of Columbia. Andra Parker, former chairman of the Fraternal Order of Police. Get that one. Fraternal Order of Police, D.C. Department of Corrections, Labor Committee, located in Washington, D.C., pleaded guilty to 1 count of wire fraud in violation of, the guilty plea follows an investigation. FBI got involved, DOL, Inspector General got involved. On October 23, 2024, in the Circuit Court of Baltimore County, Maryland, Dion Guthrie, former business manager, president of International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW, Local 1501, was charged with 1 count of theft in violation of Section 7-104 of Maryland Criminal Code. Charge follows, yet another investigation. October 15, 2024, Superior Court of Muskogee County in Columbus, Georgia, Melissa Gathers, former financial secretary of Bakery, Confectionery, Tobacco, and Grain Millers, BCTGM, Local 84, was indicted on 11 counts of theft by conversion, 7 counts having a value less than $1,500, and 4 counts having a value of more than $1,500, and 1 count of criminal attempt to commit a misdemeanor. Law numbers and all that follows. On October 7th, 2024, the United States District Court of the Eastern District of Michigan. Delangen Miller, former president of United Steelworkers Local 513, located in Ypsilanti, Michigan, pleaded guilty to 1 count of bank fraud in an amount of $47,347. He was also charged with in an information with 1 count of bank fraud for embezzling union funds in the amount of $58,696. October 1st, in the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York, Antoine Shepard, former office administrator of the American Federation of Government Employees, AFGE, Local 1168, located in Bronx, was charged with information with 1 count of bank larceny totaling $32,323. October 1st, 2024, in the United States District Court of Western District of Pennsylvania, Donald Myers, former treasurer of Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen, BLET, Division 287, was sentenced to 6 months of imprisonment and 2 years of supervised release. That includes 6 months of home incarceration. Byers was ordered to pay $1,273 in remaining restitution and $125 special assessment. Byers previously paid $40,000 to the union and $4,100 to a surety company. He pled guilty to 1 count of embezzlement and 1 count of falsification of records. So Trump's teams needs the unions to work correctly to be able to convince manufacturers to move back to the U.S. So this is something he has been seen attempting. Well, this has been a long video for me. But let me tell you something. I want you folks to realize that the unions need cleaned up. If they don't get cleaned up, then the workers in this country are not going to be feeling secure whenever the new manufacturing jobs come in. Don't tell me that these companies, who, in my opinion, a lot of them are crooked in another way entirely, are going to want to work with unions that the officials, not the workers, but the officials are crooked. This is something that I know that Trump wants to clean up. Why? Because he's already been known to not want to deal with corruption. So, here's a situation that he has to clean up because we have to get manufacturing back to the United States. The unions are one of the major headaches when it comes to this. I hate going after the unions because it makes me sound like I'm against the workers. I'm not. Blue collar folks, that's who I grew up around. I know members of unions. But we can't have unions that are constantly having this amount of crime, this connection to political parties. And that's just it. I don't want the unions connected to the Republican Party, just like I don't want them connected to the Democrat Party. There comes a point where they need to get out of politics and just focus on what is good for the workers. And what is good for the workers means they need to quit having union officials embezzling. There's too much crime associated with this, and there's too much politics associated with this. There comes a point where you need to realize that it has nothing to do with politics or crime, that you need to focus on doing what's right for the workers. This having power and all that, okay, that may sound good, but it's not good when this is what's going on. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. Folks, I just want to say thank you for listening. I want to thank you for taking your time. I want to hear what your comments are about what you think on this topic, because your comments are what's important, not necessarily mine. I don't care if you're Republican. I don't care if you're conservative. I don't care if you're liberal. I don't care if you're Democrat. I want to hear your opinion on these topics. I want to thank you yet again for listening to my video. Like, subscribe, and all that other hoopla. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.